If you like to laugh, and who doesn't, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to My Funny House with the Powell brothers. Frank Powell is a real estate broker who was born and raised in San Diego, along with Frank's brother Mark, a real estate broker who also lives in San Diego. Each week, the Powell brothers bring in a special guest comedian to share hilarious real estate stories so you can learn what can go really right and what can go really wrong with home improvements and home ownership. So now, let's get into it with My Funny House. Here are your hosts, Frank and Mark Powell on The Answer San Diego.
Good morning, San Diego. My name is Mark Powell.
And my name is Frank Powell, real estate broker, and welcome to My Funny House.
We are the Powell brothers, your San Diego real estate experts, and I'll tell you why we're San Diego real estate experts. Because surprisingly enough, we were born and raised in San Diego, and I'm talking about, I was born in 1961. Frank, when were you born?
63.
So that gives me 60 years of living in a place where I actually witnessed them dredging the bay.
Oh, Mission Bay, the dredge, that's right.
We would sit in our backyard. We lived in Bay Park, and the bay actually at that point stunk. It smelled horrible.
I think it still does.
Well, not really. No, it smells okay now. And we watched them dredge the bay, so we know almost every area of San Diego intimately because we've
been there.
Frank, where did we play when we were kids?
We like to play in canyons.
Right.
Like every 60-year-old back then. Slime ditches, canyons.
San Clemente Canyon, Marion Bear Canyon.
All over. Motocrossed.
Mini
bikes.
You could ride your motorcycle in the canyons when we were growing up.
Watch University City develop.
Would you ever let your kids play in the canyon now?
No way.
I mean, and you know what we do when we were in the canyons? We'd build forts.
Got to build the fort.
You know who builds forts now?
I don't know.
Homeless people.
Homeless, yeah.
And they're pretty good at it. They've built, I've seen some of these crazy forts that they've built.
Maybe we should sell forts.
We could sell Fort Knox.
Forts for sale.
We have a fort. It's full of gold. We're selling it in San Diego, Fort Knox. Well, we're your local neighborhood experts when it comes to real estate.
Been protecting clients for over 18 years.
We've been doing
I think that's our main focus is when you ask all the viewers out there, when you're looking for an agent, we'll talk about this later, but when you really ask like a question like, why should I hire an agent? Why is it important to pick the right one? What would be the right answer if you ask yourself that?
Okay, hold on. I do know the answer, but I'm going to let you say it.
Well, mine sums it up is to protect the client,
Absolutely.
To protect the investment.
How do you do that though?
Well, you follow all the rules and regulations because what happens in real estate is you can have a good transaction and it can close. You can get sued years later for something that wasn't disclosed. For example, it's called discovery.
Right.
So once you discover something, you have a certain amount of years to sue. An example would be like 5 years after you buy a house, you lift up the carpet because you want to put in new flooring and you notice a huge crack that looks like it had epoxy or something in there that they tried to hide. So from then you discovered it, you can sue that seller for selling you a house knowing that it was cracked under the carpet.
So should you just rip up every carpet when you're looking at homes?
Not everyone. Yeah,
Some of them.
No, but I'm saying that's part of
only the ones that aren't glued down.
When you list a house,
right,
you have to ask for the disclosures of what's going on with the house, and that's how we do it with our sellers.
Frank, you know how I protect my clients?
How?
I hire Tony.
Tony for the protection.
Oh yeah, you hire Tony Calabresi.
Hey.
You know, you're gonna get some protection.
So what's the show about today, Mark?
Well, today we're going to talk about disclosures. We're going to mention disclosures, but they normally run around the home buying process. So we will include in the home buying process all of the disclosures. Well, not all of them, but we're going to talk about many of the disclosures, the most important ones, because there's some crazy stuff that happens out there. And then we're also going to have our segment of Stump the Realtor. No, I'm sorry. That's easy because I just did it to myself. Stump the comic.
Oh, we're going to stump Tony?
No, we stump Tony or stump Maria.
Okay, we're going to ask
But it's going to be hard to stump Maria because she's really smart.
What? Were you saying Tony's stupid? God.
No, I think Maria's...
It's called stump the comedian, not insult them.
Okay. So, Frank, you want to introduce somebody here?
Yeah, I got Maria Herman almost live with us, our producer and our... And then we...
You guys!
Yes.
You guys!
Yes.
And then Maria always likes to introduce
Do I? Can I introduce
know.
myself again? I love introducing myself. Tony Calabrese, you already introduced him. He's San Diego's favorite
We like to say Tony
headliner.
Calabrese. What an Italian name, huh? Tony Calabrese.
Hey, how you doing? I've been here since '57, and I
Oh,
used
57.
to extort.
Really?
I used to extort lunch money from the Powell brothers.
That's right.
He'd shake us down,
Throw them in canyons.
turn us upside down. So when we talk about disclosures here, when we talk about selling a house, there's certain things that we need to do. First thing is when we get a client, we have to determine whether or not they can afford a house. That's one of the main things. However, it's important to know if a person is ready to take on the responsibility of home ownership. So somebody has to decide whether they're ready to buy a house.
That's right. There's a lot of jobs that, like the military here in San Diego, that will deploy you different spots all over the world. You have to think about the big picture, the global picture of where you're going to be in a year, where you want to be in 5 years, and determine whether or not that long-term investment of buying a house is even worth it as opposed to renting. So we do pre-qualify them and ask them, basically, why do you want to buy a house? And it sounds like a simple question, but there's a lot to that.
I think all of us here have bought in houses before.
All of us, us four?
Well, yeah, the four of us.
Yeah.
I've bought in a few houses.
Not together, but that would be a new experience. that would be,
I don't want to
that
live
would
with
be a
these guys.
funny-
I'm just saying.
That would be a funny house. That would be the funny
that would
house
be a
with the Powell
bizarre.
brothers.
That would be bizarre.
I don't know. Do a lot of comedians own homes?
No, actually, not that many. I don't think.
Well,
Really?
Depends on how long they've been doing it. Now they're,
Yeah, I mean, if they're famous,
Right.
definitely, and more than one.
Well, when a person buys a home, I think they also have to realize that it's not just a one-time purchase. It's a one-time purchase along with a lot more money being put into the house because you got to maintain a house.
You got to maintain it. Sometimes, when you're a renter, you have either a property manager that will maintain, let's say you have a leaky toilet or, the lights or there's a leaky roof. However, when you become the owner, you get all that responsibility. And you literally have to take care of a house. It's always breaking, cracking, shrinking, expanding, and you have to be on top of it. And that's the general maintenance that we have. And most people don't do that, but it's good when they do, because when we sell it, it makes it easier. If they don't, then we figure out how to fix their house.
I hate having to deal with shrinking and expanding. Shrinking, expanding, shrinking, expanding.
There's all sorts of materials.
It's always the shrinkage.
Yeah, we don't like the shrinkage.
No one likes shrinkage.
My house is really cold.
So you always have shrinkage.
Hey, this is another thing that's kind of important that somebody needs to consider. How much can they afford? And I'm gonna say a term. Okay, here's my first stump the comedian question. Let's see if they know what this is. Tony, you might know. Somebody will come up to me and say, I want to buy a house. Well, how much you qualify for? I can qualify for this, but I have mattress money. What's mattress money?
Well, I hate to say those were my early years.
Oh my God!
I think that the mattress money depends on where you grew up.
I don't really want to talk about it. I closed the door.
Oh my God! Yeah.
On that chapter of your life? Yes. Tony, you know what
I
mattress
got a
money
little
is?
mattress money.
You know what mattress money is?
Absolutely.
Say, what is it? Go ahead.
It's money you don't have anywhere in the bank. It's just sitting there.
That's right. And why? Ding. So Tony gets a point.
Tony gets the point. That money under your mattress.
Money under the mattress. So what happens is a lot of people that maybe are working in cash businesses or whatever, they just like to get paid in cash. They'll keep their money in their home. They'll have a safe full of money. And they'll say, I have a bunch of money, but that doesn't do us any good.
You have to put it in the bank.
Yeah.
And then you got to figure out how much you can afford, which is what's called the debt to ratio income.
Debt to income ratio.
Debt to income ratio. What did I say? Debt
But
to
not
ratio?
only, Frank, not only do you have to put it in the bank, you have to declare it.
You have to declare.
Because it has
it.
to show up on your tax return so you can qualify.
Well, now everything gets reported to the IRS over $600 and anything.
Oh my God!
What, is that a new law?
Yeah. The banks have to report anything more than $600 in transactions total for the entire year going in and out of your account and on any kind of payment apps, Venmo, PayPal, any of those, Zelle.
Who do you report?
Oh, well, you know what? That's okay. I don't charge that much.
I do.
Fine.
We thought that you stopped. So one thing is they got to qualify. They go to a lender. and they either say, here's my W-2, which is how much they made, or it's something called a stated income. And stated income used to be, you can just tell somebody. Remember, that's how we collapsed the market in 2008. And people would just say, I made this much money. And no one ever questioned it.
Right.
So now stated income is you have to provide tax returns.
Yes, you have to. You have to prove that you can afford the house. However, there's still some sketchy people buying a house, I think, that maybe are going to be in trouble, right?
Probably. I mean, I don't know.
Why are you looking at me?
Is that something you can fake? I'm just kind of curious. Are people out there faking any of that stuff?
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
So here's what some people were doing. I would get fake pre-approval letters.
Oh, yeah.
They would they Photoshop them.
Mm-hmm. Photoshop a bank account.
That's why it's important to call the person who wrote the letter at the bank and say, hey.
If they exist.
Yeah.
You remember, we had numbers that didn't exist. They would just put an 800 number thinking we wouldn't follow up on it. You get a perfect pre-approval or even a bank statement.
Right.
And it was fraudulent.
Yep.
I remember
fake
that.
tax returns, too.
Fake tax returns. So that's why you have to pick a really good lender that has exceptional underwriters.
Right.
Now, the underwriters are the ones who help the lender. The purpose of the lender is to collect information. So you get this thing called a pre-approval letter.
Yep.
And that's when there's a conversation between the lender and the client that's just verbal. How much do you make? What is your debt? Are you going to be the only one on the title? Or two people getting the loan?
Right.
And then what they do is they take that information and they got to vet it. They got to make sure it's real. So they pass that information to the underwriters.
Correct.
And everyone gets mad at the lender because they're not working fast enough, but the lender really has done his job. He's just providing information for the underwriters. It's the underwriters that do the forensic audit to make sure that everything's accurate.
The lender's basically a sales guy.
And now they're very, very concerned about fraud because they don't want to screw up, because when a bank puts out too many bad loans, it goes under. You can get shut down now.
Is that true?
Well, you could get shut down back then. You have some what they call loan loss reserves. So you have to put a percentage of your total portfolio aside, and that's how much dollar-wise you have to keep it as a bank.
The
and the more
liability.
that they go bad, the more the FDIC or whatever government agency your bank falls under is going to require you to keep as your loan loss reserve.
So you get to a point where a bank cannot loan anymore.
Right.
They're too, just like you. If you had a bunch of money, you're loaning it to your friends, and they come up, hey, I need $20 more. I'm out. I got to wait till the other people pay me back before I can build up my reserve. They're now a liability as opposed to an asset.
That's why so many banks.
I think you just talked about all of my friends.
Yeah, that's all of my friends too.
Exactly.
This is something you have to remember when we were doing this in 2008. And everyone should be aware that this can happen again. You never know. But in 2008, the whole country was going through a process of getting foreclosed on. And remember, it used to be a really negative stigma to get foreclosed, like you're embarrassed.
Right.
But it's almost like AA. Remember when Alcoholics Anonymous was actually anonymous, and you could go to a group of people without telling anyone and take care of your drug or alcohol addictions? Yeah. Well, that's how this became. This became like so many people, and now it's not anonymous anymore, right? People just go, I'm going to go talk to someone today. So now the people that went bankrupt, it's not a big deal. They just go, yeah, I went bankrupt, and that's part of 2008, 2009. So most people went bankrupt.
We're talking about borrowing money. I want to ask you guys this question. Whenever okay, here it is.
Is this Stump the Comedian?
No, this
I'm
is
out.
no.
I'm out. I just said I don't have any more
Maria,
money.
please.
Oh my God.
I just need $20. I think borrowing started in the Popeye commercials. Remember? I mean, Popeye cartoons, when Wimpy would always say, I'll give you $2 today for a hamburger on whatever. Remember? What was that?
I'll give you $2 Saturday.
No one's going to remember that
Yeah,
much.
give it to exactly.
Wow.
But look,
you showing your age.
oh yeah.
That's in the 70s.
So
70s, 40s.
So let me ask you something. When you lend money to a relative, do you ever expect to get it back? Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
Well,
I have.
Did you get the money back?
I never even tried to get the money back.
I
Right,
knew
there you
it.
go.
Jeez, Frank, give me that money.
When any of my friends ask for money, if I give it to them, I don't expect them to pay me back, and they usually don't. And then it's that awkward thing where you see them after a year and you go, hey, remember that $1,000 I lent you?
Yeah.
And then they
They act like they don't know.
go, what?
Yeah, I'm going to pay
Yeah,
you back.
Yeah, well, I'll get back to you.
You know, you're not supposed to give panhandlers money. That's what they say if somebody's panhandling.
They don't call it
You're supposed to give them a
panhandling.
card.
What?
No, dude, you're good.
Look
You're
at your
going way
watch,
back.
man. This is 2022.
Yeah, there's no panhandling.
Panhandling?
They don't do that anymore. They allow it. That went to court, and it's not illegal anymore to ask for money.
No, I know it's not
What?
illegal, but what people are saying is that you're supposed to give them a card to
It's a freedom-
to a rescue mission or something. Is that-
Freedom of expression. Well, it's bad to give people on the.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. This is something as a foreigner that I'm curious about.
Okay.
Why do they call it panhandling in the United States and nowhere else in the world they just call it begging? Because in the United States, I don't know. I feel like it's a thing that came with the gold rush.
Right.
I
Like
think it
you're
is.
still like is that what it is?
I think they used to hold a pan, like a pie tin. You hold a
Yeah.
pan, and then people are supposed to throw money in there, and based upon what the sound, you could determine what it was.
Right.
Bing, quarter, boom, penny.
What are these?
Oh
for?
yeah, a wish.
Just a wish.
Well, somebody just took money out of my pan.
Right.
But I always find myself in this dilemma when I see somebody asking for money, and I start profiling them. Are they legitimately asking for money, or are they one of those scammers that's going to run around the building and jump in a nice Mercedes and take off? Because I've seen
Following
that
me
happen.
again.
Oh,
You been
yeah.
following me, Mark?
Frank,
You been
remember, no,
All right.
we saw that happen, Tony. Seriously, Frank,
You have
remember
a
that?
Mercedes?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. But the ironic thing when it came to panhandling was where people were kind of a little bit too lazy to ask, so they just made a sign, like
Oh,
here,
yeah.
just give me money. You know, I want money for beer. I want money for this. You know.
Is that how that happened?
Hey, I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question. If you have a bad neighbor, are you allowed to put a sign about that neighbor in your yard?
Ooh.
That's a great question. Okay, Maria, just hit a good topic. If you have a bad neighbor, do you have to disclose it to your other neighbor? Because Frank, remember we had that guy who was the lady was living above the person, and she kept making noise, and the guy was really pissed off, and she called us up and said, "You didn't tell me." This is a year or so later, that the guy living under me was a nut. I go, well, I don't think he's a nut. Do you remember that?
Right. Yeah, I remember.
And she said, I'm calling the. I go, call the police. Why are you calling me? I can't.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You know, if you hear that there's a bad neighbor, you have to disclose it.
Well, let me
And
tell the
Wait a minute.
story.
She's making the
Okay.
noise, yet he's
Okay,
the
here's
bad
what
neighbor?
happened. She moved into the house, and she had a little kid that was crawling, and the kid started walking, would stomp around the house. So the dude would hit like the ceiling and say, "Hey, quit making so much noise." It finally became a confrontation where he would scream at the kid, out in front yard, and yell at the family, and started scaring the lady. He was just yelling and screaming. So I guess she said, "Hey, you didn't tell us that the guy below me is violent." I go, "I don't." He was super nice to me when we go, where we're going to sell a house. So I think they ended up selling it, didn't they?
Yeah, they moved.
How big was the kid?
They're like 3'2".
I mean, maybe he's a big kid. Maybe he's a sumo wrestler kind of kid. He's pounding around upstairs.
I don't. I don't know what.
Slamming
a
his
400-pound
That's
kid jumping
terrible.
up and down.
Did you know there's some apartment complex? Remember the one lady who got busted for wearing heels in her condo?
Well, it wasn't the heels. It was what she was charging people to come into the house.
That's whole part. That's the mattress money thing. We're back to mattress money. No, so there are certain rules in HOAs. You have to know this. This is why you want to hire the Powell brothers, because we understand these little innuendos and little things that will happen.
And we read.
And we read the documents. We read the HOA Homeowners Association documents. So
Yes.
some will say you cannot have tile floor or wood floor if you're on a top unit.
Right. You have to
Because-
keep it carpet for sounding.
But they
sound.
tried to make it illegal in this one complex for women to wear high heels on the second floor.
Well,
Can you believe that? So all activities had to go on the bottom floor. You could not have high heels. Do you understand what I mean? Because the heels were clicking, click, 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 and upsetting them.
Right.
That's a true story.
Yes.
But you can't restrict somebody from wearing heels, but you can restrict them
Well-
from putting flooring in.
Was she a salsa
I
dancer
feel-
or something?
Exactly.
I was going to say, I feel bad about driving that guy crazy, but I love to tap dance.
Can you imagine?
That happens all the time. There's oftentimes these especially condo conversions don't have the soundproofing in between the top and the bottom floor. So when
Right.
you are buying something, realize that you may irritate the person below you, or if you're on the bottom, you may be irritated from the person on top. That's part of living.
I'm
that's part
always irritated on the bottom.
She's always irritated
Yeah.
anywhere.
So listen,
Hey,
I'm going to tell you another crazy story. Okay, this is unbelievable. So we're selling a house, and we have an offer on it. All right, and in the house, the person in the disclosure said it was haunted. We said, "What? The house is haunted?"
Oh yeah, that was 3 days before it was going to close.
Right, and told the people, "Hey, my house is haunted."
Yeah. By the way, I
I
have
have 400-pound fat kid that was jumping around doing tap.
No, was it? And so we said, "Well, is this really a legitimate disclosure?" Because it didn't sound like like it was an actual haunting. I don't know what an actual.
Well,
haunting sounds like.
I read the
like,
report.
did someone die in the home?
No.
No,
What happens was she was hearing like a kid screaming, right?
the lady said that
Children screaming her
children
name.
screaming and the ghost would beat her up in the middle of the night,
Yeah,
like
Wow.
beat her up, And so
check the husband on that.
Did they search the house for mushrooms? I mean, I'm just
exactly. I
saying.
mean, it's very strange. But guess what? So
Well, the whole point is you have to disclose.
you have
it.
to disclose if the house is haunted. Okay, this is another stump the comedian question. Just think about that. Either one of you can answer. Do you have to disclose if you believe your house is haunted?
No.
Are
I'm
you,
going to go
are
in
you
no.
disclosing that you're a mental
Done.
patient, or are you disclosing that
No,
the house is actually
you
haunted?
could be no. If you really believe the house is haunted, dun 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 dun.
I mean, what do you, I see dead people.
Okay, Maria said no. What do you say, Tony?
I sit down.
Haunted?
Yes,
No. I'd say no.
Frank.
The correct answer is yes. You have to disclose
What?
it. And
Yes.
that did go to court.
Yes, and
It
there's
went-
case law out of
Over
New York.
ghosts?
Yes.
There's case law out of New York. If you suspect your house,
There's a lot of religions that believe in poltergeist, and they believe that they have power.
it's true.
Just like the Italians. If somebody gives you the evil eye, you kind of think that they're
Well,
going to
that's true.
steal
That's
your soul.
real.
Frank, no, the Malocchio.
Yeah,
The Malocchio.
Hey, that's real.
Right. So
Okay.
if somebody gives you the Malocchio, you feel like there's a bad spirit, and you got to,
Right.
hang your peppers on your
Absolutely.
rearview mirror.
Yep.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question.
Okay, but wait. Not all ghosts are poltergeists. You can have a good ghost.
Yes.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, not everything requires sliming, is what I'm saying. So you could have a ghost that helps you clean up. You could have a ghost that scratches your back. I mean, that's not a poltergeist. That's not a.
It's true.
I don't understand why everybody who says they have a ghost always just says the ghost
Now
is
here's the
evil.
problem. If a year later, the people who bought the house encounter paranormal activities, the agent and the brokerage can be sued
Right.
for not disclosing. Yeah, for
Right.
damages.
No,
Yes.
I'm
Come
serious.
on.
Yes.
There's a
sued.
if I had a computer here, I'd look up the case law. But we actually had to research it. I mean, this isn't something that we're just making
Our
up.
callers can Google that right now.
Yeah.
Fact check.
You have to we have to report if a house is haunted. You have to disclose it because it's considered a material fact. Anything that would influence a person one way or another to buy the house or not to buy the house.
But how could you ever?
But it's so immaterial of a
Because
material
I'm
fact.
going to tell you why.
Correct.
Here's what happened.
Yes, non-material.
Not material. It's not real.
Look,
Yeah, exactly.
so the person who this was written out. This was a document that was sent to us. We're like, what do we do with this document? This
right, especially because you put it in writing. All real estate must be in writing.
Yeah.
You have to do something. You never want to ignore it.
No, our first
Our first one was rip it apart and throw it away. This
yeah, we thought this is BS.
But-
This is not true.
you got to look what other people may be thinking.
Right.
Not just
know?
not just what you think.
Right. Oh yeah.
So you
This
just
is-
disclose everything.
Is that why the lady was selling the house? Because she didn't like getting beaten up by the ghost anymore?
No, I think she wanted to actually keep the house. This is the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
She put.
Oh, so she liked it.
Yes, she liked.
No,
to-
she's trying to keep people from buying the house by pretending there's a ghost in it.
correct.
Right, exactly.
Maybe she's not pretending though.
We listen. We couldn't go inside somebody's motivation for
Yeah,
why
we don't-
they want
we
to
don't
do
ask them
something.
those questions.
Or maybe it was a legit disclosure. My house is haunted. There is a haunted house in San Diego. It's called the Whaley House.
Yeah,
It's in Old Town San Diego.
Yeah.
And there's a little grave. I believe there's a little graveyard in there. But speaking of houses and graves, are just since we're on this weird topic, are you allowed to bury a pet in your backyard if your pet dies? Okay, this is another stump.
Well, you can bury a lot of things in your backyard.
Tony, what do you have buried in the backyard?
I'm not saying nothing.
Exactly.
Well, I hope so, because I'm all, act and ask questions later.
Right.
So it's too late.
Okay. So Maria's a yes. Frank?
Yes.
I'm going to say no.
Tony's a no. Well, this is going to be Frank. This is a wobbler. You know what a wobbler is? Whether it's a felony
I
or a
do.
misdemeanor.
I do.
You know?
Well, that's like
It's a
going.
400-pound kid that tries to tap dance. That's what a wobble is.
Yeah, he's weeble wobble.
Frank, what is it?
You cannot bury your pets in your backyard.
It's 2 for tone.
No.
You cannot.
You can't.
However, we all know, including me, there's pets buried in the backyard.
Oh yeah.
From goldfish to parakeets to dogs to cats, and I think most people do it because when you have a pet and you love that pet, you don't want to throw them away or give them to the
No,
vet.
God, no.
You don't
Like
want
family members.
So you give them a burial.
Have you ever tried to flush
Right.
a parrot down the toilet? There's no room.
I was going to say, you bury anything that doesn't fit in the toilet.
Right.
Oh
I
my
tried to
God!
flush a parrot this morning.
You know how many Viking funerals I've given to goldfish for my kids over the years?
So Frank,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, like I said, you're going to find houses with a lot of buried animals in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard for someone to disclose, but sometimes they do disclose it because it means a lot to them. I've been to many houses that have almost like a graveyard, a certain section of the yard that is for their pets, and they have flowers around it, and they made it very nice.
Yeah.
And just like anyone else, some people don't mind. Okay, there's a pet buried back there, big deal, and some people do mind.
Well, they probably mind is after they sell the house, like 4 or 5 years later, they see a family in the backyard with flowers. Like, hey,
Yeah, revisiting.
yeah.
Yes.
You have to get a.
I remember when we lost the llama.
Oh my God,
That was a good llama, too.
a llama easement.
Okay, so Maria, once again, Maria's on point, and she knows exactly how to do this because she said a good question. She says, "Can you bury a llama?" Frank, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
This is another Stump the Comedian question.
Uh-oh.
Can you own a zebra in San Diego County on your property? A zebra, specifically a zebra from Africa. Or it can be from anywhere, but African zebras. Can you own a zebra in San Diego?
I've never seen an Australian zebra, so I'm going to say no.
No, I'm going to go with no.
Why?
Frank, okay? A zebra. I'm serious. I should like
Well,
zebra.
I saw one in Tijuana once, but totally different
I have a
story
picture
for
on one of
another
those.
time.
That's called a zonkey.
Yeah, that's right. Forgot that's an old story. Never
Right.
mind.
Zebra.
You
donkey.
couldn't own one just anywhere, could you? Is that even
I'm
legal
not saying
just to own a zebra?
That's a good question, but I'm gonna defer this question to the area expert, Frank Powell. So if somebody owned a zebra and they go, "Hey, I have a zebra. I want to buy a house in San Diego," who would know about owning exotic animals other than Joe Exotic and Frank Powell?
I do.
Frank?
Yes, you can have a zebra in certain parts of San Diego. One of my
Yes.
one of my clients.
A zebra?
A zebra.
Yes.
One of my clients has 2 zebras and a camel.
Right.
It's a
Well,
camel?
it's not
Yeah,
a
you
real.
can-
It's a weird
I'm
name.
guessing they don't live in La Jolla.
No,
I
it's
mean-
not a llama. It's a camel.
Oh, really?
It's a huge,
But they
big
got to be
camel.
out like in maybe El Cajon, Santee, out in the, where
Yeah.
they have
Exactly.
horses and stuff.
Yeah, it's
Right, and you can have all sorts of animals.
But there's a sad zebra
You have-
story because isn't one of the zebras it's stuffed in her house?
Yeah,
What?
That was really gnarly.
Oh, this is getting
Wait,
weird.
that wasn't an option.
Listen.
That wasn't. You
didn't
You
say
weren't
stuff.
specific.
I'm gonna tell
You
you.
didn't say dead dead. You didn't say pet cemetery.
No.
Right.
Zebra.
Come on.
Two
man.
zebras are alive, and one didn't survive because something happened.
So they stuffed it?
Yes.
Because they love the zebra. So they didn't bury it. So it's not like burying it. You didn't bury it, but you can have it stuffed.
What?
You could have your pet stuffed if you wanted to, but I think it's expensive.
Yes.
Okay, what happened to the zebra?
Oh, that was sad. Something happened to the zebra, and the person who thought they knew about animals went to the house and goes, "You got to give it water." And if you give it water, the stomach, I think it had an inverted stomach, which is when they run, the stomach can flip. It happens to certain dogs, like what kind of dogs with the big chests? Labradoodles. It happens to, where if you run and you have water in the belly, you can invert your stomach and tie a knot on both ends.
That's why I don't run. That's why I
That's
don't
why I
run.
don't run. Hey, perfect.
Don't eat and run.
I don't run.
Right.
Never run.
It gives a new meaning to dine and
I
dash.
believe in running.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened was this
Could end up stuffed in Maria's house.
this
I don't-
person convinced the owner that
No.
Well, I've eaten and ran, but it's a different kind.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
well they put water down the mouth of the zebra, and the zebra drowned.
Unbelievable.
So,
He
I
says-
mean, he went there to
Killed
help
a
and
zebra.
Killed the zebra. I don't know. That's just what I heard. And then it was stuffed.
Wait. So now
It's there.
is there a ghost? Is there a ghost?
I'm gonna tell you
zebra
something
on the property?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you
Just-
something about zebras.
what
You cannot tame a zebra. They will bite. And let me tell you something about a zebra that I found out. They can jump and kick backwards 5-6 feet. They'll kill you. Do not approach a zebra.
Really?
That's good to know.
The one that I approach. Yeah. So
What am I going to approach a
yeah,
zebra?
if you see a zebra on the street, run.
Yeah, it's
Do
called
not
a zebra
approach.
crossing.
Yeah, zebra crossing.
Right, what?
If camels are kind of gnarly too, but the
Camels spit, don't they?
No, llamas spit. Camels just bite.
No, I think camels. Remember at the zoo,
I
the
don't know.
camels.
Maybe.
Hey, you want to hear some other thing? Since we're talking about animals,
show 'em my aunt.
I remember a time in San Diego
Yeah.
when you could go to the zoo and you could actually buy peanuts
yeah.
and stick your hand out, and the elephants would eat the peanuts out of your
yeah.
hand. Remember?
Yeah.
Well, the bears too.
Then there's that one kid that got grabbed by the elephant, and
Are you serious?
oh yeah. Thank God he weighed 400 pounds. They never would have got him back. The elephant couldn't lift him all the way, but he grabbed a hold
Oh,
of
the
that
elephants
arm.
get gnarly, man.
Yeah.
You know, they're cool.
He was-
Yeah, don't mess with elephants either. If you ever see an elephant, don't mess with an elephant.
But you could feed that's something everyone did at the zoo. You went
Yeah,
and you bought
you-
your peanuts
right,
and you fed
right.
the elephant peanuts.
But you remember what happened?
And the prairie
no.
dogs.
What happened?
They went to a seal died, and they did an autopsy, and they found like 800 pennies in the stomach. So that's when the policy came, where nothing to be thrown in the cage.
Wow.
They're on a
What
special
if it was
diet.
in a pig? Would it be a piggy bank?
God.
Killing
Yeah,
them.
that's true.
Okay. Disclosures?
Yeah, let's go-
Disclosures? Anyone?
Yes. One of the things that you have to do when you're getting a house
House hunt.
is let's say you're house hunting, you're looking around, you're going through some of these online search engines to find your house. But you do find a house and you place an offer on it, you need to get a home inspection. And part of the process of getting a home inspection is the seller has to give you something called a transfer disclosure statement and a seller property questionnaire. What's
That's
so
right.
funny?
Well, first of all,
Wait, somebody here is
oh
laughing.
my God.
Say it, Maria.
Oh, no.
Sorry. So disclosures.
Yes.
Anyhow.
She's thinking about
But
elephants.
never mind.
I was thinking
She's
of
still
house
Okay, so first of all, Mark, you jumped into you have to make an offer on the house. That right there could be a whole segment, because there's certain ways to make an offer on a house, which Mark and I know how to do.
Correct.
And there's other people who make offers on the house that get rejected, and then they wonder why. Even if the price is higher, some people will not take the higher price.
But
so
Frank,
you need to know how to write the offer.
Look, I just wrote an offer. I kid you not. And the house was already priced at the value,
Right.
$200,000 over the list price.
Yes.
And it still got rejected because somebody
Wow.
bid higher. And this was the dilemma.
Well, they had a zebra.
Exactly.
Where do I put my camel?
No, how do you tell a buyer who sees a house, and this house was 1.6 million, and you I know that seems like a lot of money, But in this market,
It's normal.
It's not
Yeah.
not that
That's not that big a deal
much a big
anymore.
it's not a big a deal. And so, what do you tell the buyer? Hey, I recommend you offer them $200,000 more. It's kind of seems strange, but yes, if you're working with a good realtor, if you're working with someone like us, and we give you that advice, it's because we've spoken to the listing agent and we've done our research.
You got to do a background investigation on everything. And there's ways you communicate with other agents. Basically, you don't want to make it seem like you have the edge over another agent because that's not fair. But you do want to ask them the general question: what would take this off the market? What number does your client want that would bring this off the market? You can ask, and sometimes they'll go. Like if it's a $1.2 million house, they'll say, "Give me 1.25, and I'll put in pending." But you also have to write the offer. There's a lot of things in the contract, like who pays for the termite, right? The home inspection. Who's gonna checking the roof, the conditions. Are you going to find a bunch of problems with it and ask for a credit later? And if you eliminate all that, and you just say, you know what, I'll do the home inspection, but if it's nothing big, I won't ask you for anything.
Some people are putting offers in now with removing their loan contingency,
Right.
and their appraisal contingency,
Correct.
which is a big deal.
Huge. Tony's crazy.
Tony just shook his head.
You could get so stuck if you remove the loan contingency, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah. You can really.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, that's against
sounds like
any
a bad
broker's
idea.
advice. Don't remove
Yeah.
the loan. Don't remove
Because-
any contingencies. You can
because
shorten them, but
I
don't
can
remove
tell you
them.
what. I can tell you why. Because in some cases it strengthens the offer. Because a person making the offer, then if they, for whatever reason, don't go through with the sale, the seller keeps it's called an earnest money deposit. Let's say they put $25,000 down. If for whatever reason the person decides not to buy the house after they've removed their contingencies, and they remove them up front, it's not like they've done any inspections, they can lose their $25,000. And they do that because they want the seller to think that their offer is the best offer out there. And sometimes that is a little bit better, Sometimes.
Yeah, it's called highest and best.
Right.
How much longer is this going to last? That's what I think.
That's what everyone-
and
It's not-
That's a great
I
question.
mean, that's not the thing that I tell my husband on a Friday night. I mean the real
Monday
estate
morning.
market. Well, lucky you. I'm talking about realty right now and the prices.
I've looked at some reports that say home prices in San Diego, and this is by legitimate economists, are still going to go up. It's because we do not have enough inventory for the demand.
As long as you can get financing,
Right.
you'll be able to keep the prices will stay up there. But if the rates go up
Right.
and the financing dries up, it'll start to slow down.
It'll slow down.
I don't think it's ever going to. I just don't see anything like 2008, 2009.
Well, you don't see any crashes, and there won't be any crashes because a lot of the houses are bought with cash.
Right.
So if you buy them with cash, there's no crashing
Right.
because
So I don't see
you're
that.
not going to default on the loan. Some of the things that I
There'll
look
be
at,
dips.
the bigger picture globally, when you look at what the prices are going to do, oil. I mean, the barrel. How much does it cost for a barrel of oil? If it goes past a certain amount, if it starts to go up, which is right now about, I don't know, what's the date today, whatever.
Today's the 12th.
January. Well,
No. Geez, I
yeah.
can never know what the date
I don't
is.
know, it's
Does anybody have a
15th or something.
calendar?
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, it
Whatever.
doesn't matter. So when oil goes up, when the amount of a barrel of oil goes up, right now I think it's about $81 a barrel. The economy usually goes down. And if the economy goes down with the addition of the increased interest rates, which they just said they're going to increase, that means the market may be slowing down as far as the higher prices. However, they've been wrong before, and I've had people that said 4 years ago, it was year number 10, I'm going to wait till the economy crashes, then I'm going to buy. And if they would have bought 4 years ago, they would have made at least $200,000 on any house that you bought 4 years ago. So you don't know. And that's what Maria has a great question. Nobody has a crystal ball. There's a lot of speculators. People start to follow speculators, and they make the wrong or right move.
I
But
think it also depends. I mean, if you can afford it,
buy
you're
it.
not, and you can. There's no reason to wait because you're going to lose out long term.
Correct.
If you're going to buy it and it's someplace you want to live and you're going to stay there, it doesn't matter.
That's
Well,
correct.
San Diego home prices increased second highest in the nation, other than Phoenix.
Right. I mean,
They're just skyrocketing.
It's really for it's embarrassing how high it's going up. I don't know where it's going to stop. I don't know what's pushing this, but there's no way people are going to be able to afford houses unless they come from another state with a lot of cash.
Well, they are.
I know that's what we're finding out.
Because of what happened with COVID. What COVID
Right.
taught everybody was that you don't have to be in a building anymore.
Correct. So what people are doing is they're taking their job and their computer and they can work remotely now, and they go to a city like San Diego, which has 72 degrees average, a perfect little climate, not LA. You know, we got that beautiful Camp Pendleton in between us and LA, so it keeps San Diego still like a little town, even though it's a big city, that people want to retire here or they want to buy a home. The average house on the market is like a week right now, is it? I don't even know. It goes so fast.
What's the average price of a home in San Diego today? Do you know?
It's hovering around 750,000. That's
700,
well,
750 to
find a
850.
house?
Well, that's actually not the average price. That's a median price home.
Right.
So that's if you take the highest and the lowest, and you find that one that's in the middle.
That-
the average price, I think, is over $1 million.
I was going to say, where are you going to find one for 750,000?
Well, it's tough.
It's tough.
We have some. I think we have a couple.
I know almost every neighborhood in San Diego. Like Mark said, we've been around. We were born here, so we used to even play at Dairy Mart Road by the border. We used to go into Tijuana when crossing was no big deal. In fact, we'd go around
tell
the
that
fence.
story, Frank.
I mean, listen to this. I would take my motorcycle, go on Palm Avenue, and I would ride with my buddy, and we would go east, and then we go south.
Accidentally, though.
Accidentally.
There was no fence. You didn't know
so all of a sudden we're coming down following the sunset, and we're in Revolucion in Tijuana. We are in TJ.
Yes, right.
It's the truth.
No, it's
Where he
What are
found
you
a
talking about?
zebra.
Yeah, that's. What do you mean? No, it's not.
I think what
But actually,
I think
it
what they're
was
saying-
just a painted ass.
That's a.
Here's what he's saying.
A few though. Yeah.
There was no distinction. There was no line.
No, the fence was only
no
5
big
miles
deal.
in.
Yeah, you're just like, wow,
was-
whatever,
Right.
you know. But
Border Patrol would stop.
But here's
us.
what happened. This has to do with real estate. All that property was purchased,
Oh,
and
yeah.
now it's East Lake
Oh yeah.
and all of those areas out there.
Yeah,
by,
there's
by
no
the
more
border.
motor crossing.
And that's a Kaiser hospital now.
Oh, that's
That whole area, no,
The whole area,
it's
East.
just
Oh, it's
tainted, man.
unbelievable. If you haven't been to East Lake, or if you haven't been to even Chula Vista in a while, everybody
Beautiful.
go
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Beautiful.
Another,
area.
another place that's just went so good is Imperial Beach.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
yeah.
That
Have you been
place-
down there lately?
Yeah.
What a great place.
It is
Yeah,
really
I love
cool.
that
It's
place.
like Ocean Beach.
And I think they might be finally getting that sewer thing under control with
Well,
Mexico.
that's
No,
been-
they brought the federal government in.
Oh, good.
You know?
A lot of times, okay, so what
know
happens
that?
with
You
sewer?
cannot let your zebra go in the river anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember, you know why they call them a zonkey? Because they would paint the zebra
Oh, I
like a donkey. So they called it
They
a
painted-
zonkey.
well, it's the other way around, but yeah. I don't know how many people would cover up a zebra and make
Yeah.
it look like a donkey.
No, they're actually a zebra that they would cover up to be a zonkey.
So once,
Really?
I'm just kidding, Tom.
Well,
no, it's a donkey that they'd paint stripes on.
but
They look real.
I'm very pleased you're talking about Mexico and the United States, because we also have buyers that are foreign investor or foreign
Right.
buyers that want to live here, but we also have a lot of people that want to buy homes in Mexico.
Oh yeah, Patriots.
And
a lot of
so
people
we
go
have
there.
a network of real estate agents
right.
that work in Mexico.
Right.
So when somebody wants to buy a house, let's say somebody says, I want to buy a house, I want it in Ensenada, Rosarita, I want a condo on the beach or
Right.
something like that. They can come to us and we can put them
in contact.
in contact with a vetted agent on the other side of the border.
Different process in real
But
estate.
guess what? They're not that cheap anymore.
No, they went up.
They went way up.
Yeah, but what about, there's a lot of, I have friends that have moved to Costa Rica.
Right.
Okay, it's like a big place for Americans. Do you
Right.
guys have contacts down there?
Yes.
Yes.
Costa Rica's not
Frank,
Mexico.
you were just there,
know that,
weren't
right?
you?
I'm just
Yeah.
Weren't
saying.
you just there?
I know that.
Yeah. Costa Rica has no army. Costa Rica is really beautiful. You could still buy, but if you bought land there when like I used to lifeguard, so a bunch of lifeguards would buy property down there in the 80s,
Oh.
and they're happy now. But
yeah.
there's laws there too. You can't just buy a piece of land. You have to be there. If a squatter goes on it, they can actually live there. So there's a lot of different rules in different countries where if you do buy a house or buy a piece of land, you have to develop it and you have to have someone living there.
You know,
So you can still buy it, but it's
Yeah.
just expensive. But now that San Diego's so expensive, people are looking at other places, not just nationally, but internationally.
But Californians are driving up the prices of real estate all over the
all
United
over,
States.
you know, Austin,
'Cause they're-
Texas,
Yeah, because-
Florida,
Look,
Idaho.
You sell your house here in
Missouri.
you sell your house here. Let's say you have a house in Claremont. You sell it for 850 or 900,000. Like seriously, you know,
Easily.
a house you bought
Very easy.
in the 90s for 150,000,
Right.
and you got a lot of cash now. You just go to another
So many
place.
people are leaving California that the house it's driving the market up all over. So when you used to be able to go to another state, like I said, Idaho, Arizona, Florida, Texas, all these places where you get a huge house, you take $600,000 there, you're done.
Right.
But now it's different.
But leaving California is not leaving San Diego, because San Diego is a little bit different. This is America's finest city. People love it here.
Yeah, we don't want to leave San Diego.
There's a big difference between San Diego and some place in the middle.
If you get involved in politics, you can take one side or another. Then you get a little bit discouraged. But if you just live your life, be nice to people, like the beach. Like we tell people, San Diego is a place for people that like to do things in the day. It doesn't have much nightlife. You're in
Well,
bed.
I think it does.
Wait!
You're just-
whoa, whoa,
hold
whoa,
on a
whoa,
second,
whoa,
Frank.
whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa,
Oh.
I have walked my zebra on the beach at
Okay.
night, Frank.
Hey, Frank.
Except for comedy stores.
I've been to these places.
I've been there too.
but you're married, Frank. Not saying that you're.
Yeah, I'm out of the picture.
You have
right.
2 young kids.
I got 3 young kids, brother.
and you got to put them to. You're putting them to bed.
You're right. Yeah, it's good for me. I like to wake up early and I go to bed early.
Frank's bedtime is 5:30 in the evening.
We have
Oh, yeah.
we have more stand-up comedy now
Right.
Yes.
Than
than
ever.
in how many decades, Tony?
San Diego is
Yeah.
the best place for stand-up comedy. There's so many places to perform.
Tell us about
It is
it.
a great place to start out if you're a comedian. Is in San Diego.
What if you wanted to go to I'm a comedian. Is there anybody that can teach me how to be a comedian?
Yes.
Who?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Tony.
Yeah,
Really?
actually, Tony puts on a good school. For those of you who think you're funny, or you always had that idea of when you see a comic, because that's what I do. I go to the comedy store, the store, whatever you want to call it, or Comedy Heights, and I look at the people and I go, I think I can do that. You know, right? If I just get 2 minutes of funny things, maybe I can get into that showbiz. However, when you're on the stage and the people are looking at you, and you start saying a couple jokes that fail and flop, and you get denied, it's the most horrible
So how
thing
do you
in the
prevent
world.
that?
Well, you call Tony and go, Tony, what do I do? And then you read the material by and you practice. It's just like anything.
Yes.
You can't just wing it. There's a lot of strategy in being a comedian, especially with the political environment the way it is. You got to be very
Well, how
careful.
do we get in touch with Tony?
TonyCalabrese.com.
There you go. I didn't even have to say it. Frank just did everything for me.
Tony, you just sit back there and relax.
I'm just relaxing
Right.
here. I've been teaching stand-up for 11
Well,
years.
tell us,
I
what
can
is-
tell you this. I
what is
cannot
it like?
make you funny if you're not funny, but I can teach you how to be a stand-up comic if you are funny. I can teach you structure. I can tell
Right.
you how everything works. I can put you on the right path to doing it. And
Mark and I can
save you a
also
lot
teach.
of time.
Mark and I can also teach realtors how to be better realtors or how to be an agent as well. So if you're thinking about getting into real estate, you can call us. We've been mentors. We've done
Look us up
programs.
online. That's the best way to get a hold of us is powellbrothersrealty.com. powellbrothersrealty.com. And then Maria runs a club. She's the head person.
Maria took something that was nothing. She really did now it's been about 11 years. And she took care of it and nurtured it. And now it is one of the best clubs in San Diego. It is actually one of the best clubs. It is bringing in a lot of high-level
Maybe we
comedians.
should let her tell us about it.
Go
Frank
ahead.
knows everything about everything.
Right. Jeez.
So Comedy Heights is actually the longest running independent comedy show in San Diego.
Wow.
Wow.
More than 10 years of actually family friendly comedy shows.
Nice.
So that has been our focus from the very beginning, because can you take a family to a club? No, you can't.
Right.
Can you say you have a young person in your family who is interested in comedy and you want to be able to nurture them? You can't take them into a club. You can't, because 21 years are over. So, and we book comedians who are actually funny. I mean, they end up on Conan, or they're already on Comedy Central or HBO or whatever, because we know funny. We're consistently funny. We've been voted best in San Diego. We
Over and
have
over.
5-star Yelp reviews, all the rest. And also we can bring stand-up comedy to wherever your venue is, wherever your location. We've done everything from corporate America to weddings to funerals, literally. If you can think of it, we can bring the funny there. And
Nice.
all you have to do is go to comedy.
And if you want to get a hold of us, if you want to get a hold of the Powell Brothers, San Diego's experts in real estate, just email us or find us online at powellbrothersrealty.com. It's powellbrothersrealty.com. Thank you very much for listening.
Hey, thank you, everybody. It's been a long show. Thanks for hanging in there. It's going to be fun next week as well.
Okay.
Thanks so much for joining us today for My Funny House with the Powell Brothers, right here on The Answer San Diego. Join us next week as the Powell Brothers bring you more funny stories of what can go really right and what can go really wrong with home improvements and home ownership, and bring the laughs to you with yet another hilarious guest comedian. To find out more about the Powell Brothers, be sure to check out their website at powellbrothersrealty.com, or you can visit myfunnyhouse.com. Again, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next week for My Funny House on The Answer San Diego.